Welcome, everybody. As you know, my name is Scott Gordon. I'm with the section office, assistant ED here. We want to, we're excited, I guess, to have Clipped as a new partner of the section, and excited to see what they have to offer here today on this webinar and other things we're going to be doing throughout the year with them. I'm going to turn it over to longtime PGA member John Boykin, 43 years. He has brought Clipped to us, and he's been working with them. And he'll be able to introduce everybody from Clipped, as well as give a little bit of background about it. But I would encourage you to ask questions throughout the process as we go along. There's a little hand down on the bottom of the bottom toolbar, if you will, where you can put your hand up, raise it. It'll acknowledge that you're trying to ask a question, and we can stop throughout the proceedings and answer those. I know the guys are interested to hear from you, so please make this as interactive as possible. I would ask everybody to at least put yourselves on mute. It looks like everybody's good. Keep it on mute until you want to ask a question. Once you're acknowledged, you can unmute it real quick, and we'll go from there. So I'll turn it over to John. John, let you take it away and get started.
Thank you, Scott, and good morning, everyone. It's great to see some old friends in the Georgia PGA and some people that I haven't met, but I've been in the section for a lot of years, as Scott says, a native Georgian. And was really pleased when we had the opportunity to introduce Clip to the Georgia PGA and become a partner with the section. The Georgia PGA and 7 other PGA sections were approached about becoming partners in the Clip journey. And excitingly, all 8 said yes. And I think when this is over, you'll have a great understanding of why. Let me first of all introduce a couple of people you'll see on my screen in the upper left-hand corner, Piers Parnell and Charlie Quick. They are in London. Clipped is a London-based company. Piers and his co-founder, Ed Crossman, some years back had a vision for creating a technology platform that would help coaches, instructors, and players have a far better view of what looks good in golf for them. As we know, the technology boom is part of every part of our lives, and golf is no exception. And as you are all beginning to use more and more technologies, you found out pretty quickly they don't really talk to each other. Well, Piers and Ed, along with the team in London, have created this exciting and amazing platform, Clipped. Is a platform that aggregates the data that you use. It also helps you get a view of a golfer from 360 degrees. And Piers and Ed were college teammates at Oxford University. They have a great passion for the game of golf. They've had tremendous success in business, in the data segment of business. And now they bring their expertise and their passion to golf. So I'm going to turn this over to Piers, and he'll introduce Charlie as Charlie begins to show you the platform. But Piers, welcome to the Georgia PGA. We're excited for you to be here, and it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Scott, and morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I was saying to Scott just before everyone logged in that through our relationship with John, but also the relationships that we've been lucky enough to forge over the last 24 months as we've built out the technology and our relationships through the game. So Georgia has become a little bit of a spiritual home for us. Firstly on Zoom, obviously because of the pandemic, and then obviously more recently through multiple visits, across the state. And it's very exciting for us to be here today. Doing this webinar, which, as Scott says, will be the first of what we hope will be many interactions over the years with you and with your colleagues through the section. We truly believe in the importance of relationships. Clipped has been built over thousands and thousands of hours of discussion and debate and interaction with colleagues of yours throughout the United States, the UK, and Europe, and even further afield than that. So these relationships with yourselves and other coaches and instructors are absolutely key to our ability to fulfill our mission. And so what Charlie will show you when he takes you through the platform, hopefully will build off of the kind of the simple premise as to why we're here as a business. And so, in a nutshell, as John said, we are here to try and elevate the game for every player and every participant, such as a coach or instructor, to the point whereby we've built a technology that fundamentally does help people get better faster. And I guess that's quite a bold claim, and the question would be, how do we do that? John alluded to the point that we essentially pull data from any given technology, whether that's an on-course technology such as Garmin or Arcos, off-course technology such as a TrackMan, a SwingCat, FlightScope, you name it, and obviously connected health as well into a single platform, and then we apply some very advanced proprietary technology to that to essentially uncover a golfer's DNA. What we feel that does is gives you as coaches an enormous opportunity to not only get more of a return from the technology that you kind of have to invest in to keep up with the market and to keep up with other coaches in the section and globally, but also to give you the opportunity to deploy your expertise and your skill most efficiently and most effectively to your student. And so, fundamentally, we're here to give you a tool and a platform that gives you an unparalleled insight into all of your players' activities when they're away from the lesson tee, when they're practicing, when they're playing, and then all the way full circle back to the lesson tee, almost as a call to action in a single platform. And so that connection is then built upon this understanding, that newfound understanding that you're able to get from seeing a player's true strengths and true weaknesses at an objective level through the new metrics that we've been able to develop as a result of having all these different technologies and their data in one place. And so that then provides you with a data-driven, objective conversation point and a connection to your students wherever they are, because obviously 99% of the time they are away from the lesson tee, and this gives you a really strong call to action. And so you can comment within the platform on what they're doing, how they're going about things. You can enhance your bond and your relationship with them, ultimately establishing new opportunities for you to grow your business through those enhanced relationships. And I think that then when a student comes back to the lesson tee, you have effectively been empowered to have that kind of, as I say, data-driven, more objective conversation, as opposed to, hey, how are things going? And, someone will tell you that they want to drive the ball 320 yards and that's their sole raison d'etre, rather than, why don't we just focus on your pitching a little bit because you're losing 5 shots here around the greens. It gives you that capacity to have that conversation with them. And so I think finally that is a proof point for you and for your students in a very visual, very intuitive, easy to understand platform and environment that takes something that is, as we all know, infinitely complex in terms of a game, and increasingly complex in terms of technology that you're using, into a far more efficient and effective way to improve your capacity as a coach, and improve your students and improve your business and your relationship with them. And so with that as a kind of a jumping off point for me, I'll leave it to Charlie to explain a couple of the core tenets of those new metrics I've alluded to, because actually they help to then give you that understanding of the platform, which Charlie will then demonstrate afterwards. So once again, thank you so much for being with us this morning, and over to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Piers. Good morning, all. Great to meet you all. And before I begin and dive into the platform, as John Boykin mentioned as we started the call, we've been fortunate enough to work with the team down at Sea Island for the past 2 years now. And Daniel Gray has been one of the coaches that has really got stuck into the platform ever since we put it in front of him. And he unfortunately wasn't able to join the call this morning, but he was very keen to get some of his thoughts across to you guys. And he's actually recorded a short video for me to share with you all this morning. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to share that on your screens right now. And hopefully everybody can see my screens now, and I'm just going to.
Hey, my name is Daniel Gray. I'm an elite instructor here at Sea Island at Golf Performance Center, and just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on kind of what I've been seeing with Clip. You guys are doing the seminar today at Georgia PGA, and I have a stat company called Measure Practice, and Clip has really been able to help me further extend the reach of what traditional even strokes gained and lost give me through my stat program. And probably worked with them for about 1.5 to 2 years now, almost going on that, just trying to discuss some of the things that I thought maybe would be important to add into our program, and all these things that data scientists can add into a statistical program that I obviously never had the ability to do in my own program. And understanding wind conditions, elevations relative to like certain different shots, and literally relative to that day, that wind direction, or some of the things that long term are going to be able to kind of get added into Clip. But then from a functionality standpoint with coaching, being able to have the access to going in and discussing this with players and having a very clean visual, also getting them to understand where and how to get the practice organized and how to monitor and track practice. So just the encompassing coaching model of what they've taken and basically enhanced other stat programs. And that's kind of how, to me, this works, where stat programs plug in to Clip and they did kind of get enhanced. It's been really awesome. So we're going to have all of our players here for the most part, from the players that I coach in our player development program, using this program. And I think it's a huge asset for Senator College coaches. I think there's just a lot of benefits to what Clip's going to be able to do and how it's going to enhance coaching model, and being able to take a holistic approach. And there's all these things as far as tracking play on the golf course and stats that don't tell us that we're all extremely well aware of as coaches and players. And I think what they're attempting to do with some of the enhancement of the quality score and stats is to do just that, is to fill in a lot of the blanks of, how that number or how that shot was hit, what the quality of that shot was relative to the scenario that it was in that moment. And I think that's going to allow us to understand players' results better, which allow us to give them better information on how to go and train, which encompasses and allows them to improve as players. So at any rate, I think that what they're doing is fantastic. I think it'd be a good asset for all of you guys to kind of jump on board. So let me know if you guys have any questions. You can contact me down here at Sea Island, and I'll certainly talk with any of you individually. And so if you have any questions on it. So thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed the seminar, and these guys are doing some good stuff. So talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. And now I'm just going to stop presenting on that side of things. And I think the best place for us to start today, before I dive into the platform, would be to ground everybody in our approach to measuring performance within the game. And so we've sat down with quite a large number of instructors over the past 2 years. And in every conversation we have, instructors largely agree that their job ultimately, and put really simply, is to enable their players to hit better golf shots. And so what our performance metrics are all about within Clipped are actually measuring the quality of every player a shot hits. That might be a shot that's hit on the golf course. It might be a shot that's hit on the practice range, or even a putt that's hit on the putting green. What Clip does, it looks at the complete context surrounding a golf shot. And based on the outcome, we can actually objectively measure the quality of every shot a player hits. And the way we're representing that quality is on a scale of 0 to 200. And we call that scale a shot quality. 0 on the bottom of that scale is representing the worst possible outcome for a shot. That might be standing on the tee and hitting a ball out of bounds. 100 on that scale represents the average expectation of a PGA Tour golfer. And 200 right at the top of that scale represents the perfect outcome from a golf shot. That might be holing out from a long way down the fairway or holing your tee shot. And so shot quality, that number between 0 and 200 is the foundational metric which we use throughout our platform. And you may be thinking and asking, why aren't we using traditional metrics like strokes gained within the platform? And so what I'm going to do, first of all, is actually, again, share my screen and quickly give you a bit of an explainer as to how we've come up with this metric, shot quality. So hopefully everybody can see my screen now. And so here we've got a golf hole from a course within England called Sunningdale. And we've got an example of how strokes gained would look at a shot on that hole, and we've got an example of how shot quality would look at the shot on that hole. I think we'd all agree that strokes gained has become the gold standard at the tour level when it comes to understanding performance within the game. However, Professor Mark Brody himself does admit that strokes gained can miss out some of the key context of the game of golf. And as a result, it doesn't always convey the true picture of the difficulty or the quality of a shot. And so what we're doing with shot quality is essentially filling that gap. We're looking at the complete context surrounding a shot. Those contexts being the lie the shot's hit from, the distance to the target or the hole, the difficulty of the golf course that's being played, and the weather conditions for that exact moment in time. And so just looking at this example here, we've got a golf hole, as I said, from, of course, Sunningdale in England. And it's the same golf hole, side by side, a 433-yard par 4, but on two very different days. On the left-hand side, we can see the sun is shining. It's a hole that's being played in the summer. It's warm and there's a light wind. On the right-hand side, we've got a slightly different picture. It's the same golf hole, however, it's being played in the winter. It's raining, it's cold, and the wind is howling. Now, in this example that we're using, the same player hits the same drive, but on these two very different days, one in summer and one in winter. And the shot that's hit finishes in exactly the same spot in the fairway. Now, looking at this shot through the lens of strokes gained, both shots are identical. And as a result, they're given the same value of plus 0.16 strokes gained. However, as golfers and as you instructors will know, the shot on the right-hand side in those difficult conditions of heavy showers, strong wind, freezing cold temperatures actually requires a lot more skill and is a more difficult shot to pull off. And so what we do with shot quality is we look at all of those different factors. We look at, yes, the course, we look at the lie, and we look at the distance to the hole, but we're also looking at those other contexts, the course difficulty, the weather for that exact moment in time on the day. And by doing so, we get a much better picture of the golf shot. And so, as you can see from these two examples, the drive in the fine weather scores 109 for shot quality, so on that scale of 0 to 200. But the drive on the right-hand side in the cold, in the wind, and in the rain actually scores 117 on our metric. And so by understanding the quality of individual shots, we can actually roll them up to represent the skill level of a player. And that brings us to our second metric, player quality. And so as it states here on the left-hand side, player quality is all about giving us a view on an individual's skill/quality. Again, we're using that scale of 0 to 200, where 100 represents PGA Tour standard. So using that same scale that we've used within shot quality. And hopefully you can see from this example here of Dustin Johnson's game, we're actually rolling up all of the individual shots that Dustin's hit and looking at the shot qualities for each to get a really accurate understanding of what is Dustin's player quality like in the different parts of his game, but also at the total player level. And so when I open up the platform now, I'd like you guys to just kind of keep those two metrics in mind, shot quality and player quality, because they're the foundation for all the analysis that we provide throughout our platform. And if I just quickly click to a final slide, this is how we're representing those different numbers. So when a player comes into Clipped, they'll first see this player dashboard. And so you'll see we're starting with that player quality metric, as you can see here at the total level with this blue ring. But we can also show how each player's total player quality actually breaks down into the different parts of their game, whether it be their off the tee play with this yellow ring here, their approach play with this green ring, their around the green play in the red, and then their putting in the purple. So I'm now just going to quickly open up the platform and take you guys right into the team dashboard. There we are. Hopefully everybody can see my screen now. And so for you all here as instructors, when you open Clipped Up, the screen that you're going to immediately see is this team dashboard. And as John and as Piers mentioned, we've built this platform in collaboration with a number of the world's best coaches. And something we've heard from each of them is that they'd like to be able to really easily see all of the different players that they're working with in one place. And so that's really what we've tried to do here with the team dashboard. As you'll see, with each card that appears in this screen, every player within Clipped will have that player quality number, as we're showing again with the blue ring here. But within the team dashboard, we're just providing a snapshot of their game. We'll show how that total player quality actually breaks down again into the different parts of their game, from off the tee all the way through to their putting. But as I said, we're looking at a really high level view here for the instructor, to save the instructor time and just to give them that real 30,000 foot view. Within the team dashboard, we've got a couple of different angles that you, the instructors, will be able to utilize as well. Straight away, we'll be showing you all of the different on-course and off-course activities that your players are getting up to when they're not with you on the lesson tee. So as John and Piers mentioned, within Clip, we're not just looking at rounds of golf and activities that are happening on the golf course, but we're actually looking at all of the different practice activities and different types of exercise that players are getting up to away from the golf course too. And so that's what we're really showing in this activity grid here, really simply. But you, the instructors, will have complete autonomy as to what information and what data you see within the screen. You might want to have a look at how each player's total player quality has actually changed over the last year. And you'll be able to do these for each of the different players you're working with. Again, this provides a very high level view of how each player is trending in terms of their total player quality. But something you'll be able to do from this team dashboard is actually click into a team heat map. And again, this is the product of our collaboration with a number of different instructors and coaches. And this idea of a team heat map to indicate trend was something that was requested by a few of the different college programs that we've worked with. So here we're using a really simple color scheme, a traffic light system, if you will, to indicate the different trending directions that each player is going in, both at the total player level and also how they're looking in each different facet of their game. And so hopefully you understand that the darker green represents the really strong and positive trend in that particular area, whether it's their total player quality or their approach play, in this example of Corey Patton. And then at the other side of things, we can see a slightly more negative picture, which might alert you, the instructor, that, okay, with Drew Baker, we can see that his off the tee play over the last 5 rounds is actually going in the wrong direction and quite dramatically. That might be a kind of short-term picture. And so if you want to see how that trend has kind of built up over the past few rounds, you'll be able to see that through a 10-round view all the way up to a 20-round view as well. And again, this is a team view, and we understand that it's providing you very high-level information. But from here, the idea is that the instructor will be able to dive into see a more detailed picture of each of the players that they're working with on the platform too. So for today's example, I'm just going to dive into Corey Patton. Now, this will look very familiar because it's the player dashboard that I've just showed you in the previous slides. But as I said, the idea of the player dashboard is to give the player, but you as well, the instructor, that snapshot view of where a player is at this point in time. We're showing you that total player quality on that scale of 0 to 200. And again, how that breaks down through the different parts of the player's game. And as we start to move down the page here, we start to surface a bit more information. You'll see straight away that within the platform, as well as using our own proprietary performance metrics, we're still providing traditional stats as well, because we understand that these have a lot of value still. And as we come further down the page as well, something that player quality leads us really nicely to do is actually track the progress of players over time. And within the platform, you'll see that trend lines are actually a feature which we really use. And from what we hear, they've been very valuable in telling the story of a player's progression over time. Again, we've separated this down into a few different views here. The first view we'll be showing you is how that total player quality for each player that you're working with has actually changed over the past 12 months. We can see with the green that represents a positive trend from May 21st, 2021, all the way through to this year. But we can also break that down into the particular parts of a player's game and understand how are they trending in just their approach play. And so in this example, as I've just clicked into Corey's approach play, we can see that, again, using that player quality metric, how has Corey's approach game evolved over the past 12 months? And if we want to dive down into a bit more detail and actually understand which parts of Corey's approach game are the strongest and which parts are the weakest, we can look at this visual along the bottom here. And again, we're using shot quality as a way of understanding where are the weaker parts of Corey's approach game in terms of different distances he's hitting shots from, and where are the stronger parts. And so with most of the visuals within Clipped, you can hover over each of these distance bins and actually get a bit more information on Corey's approach game. And now, just moving back to the top of the player dashboard here, we can go from this kind of overall view of a player's game, and we can start to look at each of the different activities that a player has been getting up to when they're not on the lesson tee. And so by clicking into activities, that's taken me into the Clipped activity feed view. And we've got a few different views that you, the coach, and you, the instructor, will be able to utilize here. Straight away, it's important to note that this activity feed view isn't just for rounds of golf, but as I said before, we're looking at everything a player is getting up to. It might be rounds of golf, but if we just click up here into the top corner and look to add an activity, we can actually start to see all of the different activity types that Clipped users will be able to pull into that activity feed. It might be a lesson that a player has just completed with one of you as their instructor. They'd really simply be able to title that lesson, maybe a different part of their game that they're working on. For this example, let's just say they're working on their long irons. They'll be able to put a date in there, a description as well on the different technicalities that they were trying to address in that lesson. And they'll be able to tag it to a particular part of their game, for example. And what we're trying to do within Clipped is make it as easy as possible for players to upload media to their activity feed as well. And so if I just click out of this view, you'll see we've got all different activity types. We've got a swing catalyst session with Jake on the right-hand side here. He's done with his coach and wanted to keep within his Clipped account. But we've also got different activities like a TrackMan test on the left-hand side, or even a chipping lesson that Corey has completed with his coach as well. But from this high-level view of the activity feed too, you'll be able to click into each activity to get a bit more of an understanding as to how it went. And so from there, clicking into a round of golf takes me, the user, into the Clipped scorecard. And up until now, everybody knows that scorecards don't paint pictures, but really what we're trying to do within the Clipped scorecard is give the coach a really good idea of how each round of golf was played. And so by clicking into each hole and with this view on the right-hand side here and using that shot quality metric, we can actually start to give the coach a really good idea of where the good shots were from a round of golf, but also where the more expensive shots were, which actually proved to be more costly in that round. And so you'll have that view for every different hole that your players have played, and you'll start to get a really good understanding of what led to the good scores, the birdies, but also what led to those expensive holes. And straight away, you can see those zero shot qualities are where the more costly shots were. And from this Clipped scorecard, should you want to, you can also go a level deeper too. By clicking into round insights, here we're providing a micro analysis on every round of golf that a player records and logs into their Clipped account. Straight away for each round of golf, you'll see we're able to provide that average shot quality for that total round and show how that breaks down into the different parts of their game. But we've also started to include a few different fun views as well. So straight away, once a round of golf has been logged into Clipped, we'll be able to show the player the best 3 shots from that round of golf in terms of shot qualities, but we'll also be able to show the worst 3 shots from that round of golf too, which we believe for the coach is going to be a really useful tool for them to go in and look at how a round of golf was played by each of their players. And as we scroll down the screen slightly more, we can actually start to see how the player performed in each different part of their game for every round of golf that they complete. Again, we're using shot quality to show the performance of each part of their game, but we're also using traditional metrics alongside strokes gained to to make sure the coach has a really clear picture of how the player performed in every part. Something just above that as well is this idea of a shot quality tracker to show how momentum ebbs and flows throughout a round of golf. So here, using these visuals, we're actually tracking the shot quality of every single shot a player has hit over a round of golf. And we can view that by looking at every shot a player has hit over a round and seeing how they've scored in terms of that shot quality number, 0 to 200. But we can also start to look at how did this player hit it off the tee for that round of golf, or what were the shot qualities for every putt that a player hit in that round of golf as well. And so that gives you an idea as to the detail that we can go into in the platform as well. But then just clicking back to the activity feed, as well as rounds of golf, as I've said, we can start to look at different lessons that have been completed, different TrackMan tests which have been completed on other technologies. And the idea is that this activity feed is going to be the one-stop shop for a coach to visit to see everything that a player is getting up to. And now, as I've just showed you the Round Insights tab, which is very much an analysis on a particular activity within the activity feed, the next feature I'm going to touch on is the What to Work On feature, which is actually more of an analysis on a player's total game. And so by clicking into that What to Work On view, this takes me into this separate portal. And when opening up Clipped on your mobile phone, the view that you or your players will see is this list on the left-hand side. And essentially what we're doing here is showing the player the key areas of their game which we believe they should be working on in order to reach that next level of performance. And all of this, as everything else is within the platform, is completely data-driven. We're looking at 3 different key factors in order to create this list of areas. The first thing we're looking at to create this list is actually the importance that each part of a player's game has to their scoring. So you'll see with this view in the top left here, we've broken down the different parts of a player's game to how important each of them are to a player's scoring. In this example for Corey, we can actually see that Corey's approach game is very important to the days where Corey shoots low scores. Similarly, his putting is also very important to the days where he shoots low scores. And so that's one part of the equation that we're looking at. The second part is the opportunity to improve in each different part of a player's game. So you will see this opportunity number in the middle here. Here we're looking at how good Corey's been in each different part of his game in the past, and we're comparing his performance today to that benchmark. And so by seeing how far he is from his very best in that particular element of his game, we can actually show him what the opportunity is for him to improve in that particular area. And that's the second thing we're looking at. And then the third thing we're looking at very simply is the trend in terms of shot quality. Is Corey getting better at this particular part of his game, or is he getting worse? And so by looking at those 3 different factors in harmony, we can pull together this definitive list for every single player, and it's going to be unique. And the idea is that when a player gets to the range, or if a player gets to the putting green, they'll really simply be able to pull up this What to Work On area within Clipped and see, okay, I'm on the putting green today, let's work on putts from 8 to 15 feet. Or if I'm on the range today, let's focus on my approach shots, because we can see how important they are to my scoring. And the yardages I should be working at are approach shots from 140 to 180 yards, and so on. So that's the What to Work On area for the platform. And as well as all of the different activities that the player can log on the course, as well as those other activities that I've listed here, the other side of the clip that we've created is a library of different drills and training tasks that a player can select from. And the idea is that all of those different practice drills and tasks are actually going to contribute to the player's player quality numbers as well. And so those drills can be found within our library and really easily accessed by selecting Record a Practice Drill. And the idea is that a coach will be able to prescribe some of these drills and in time create their own drills for a player to choose from too. And we're really trying to make sure that all of the different practice activities a player is getting up to away from the golf course are going to contribute to these player quality numbers as well. And so that's a separate part of the app that we've included too. Piers, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on within the demo today.
No, I mean, Charlie, I think that's really, really comprehensive. Obviously, hopefully you can see that there's an enormous amount of breadth and depth to this. We've tried to make it very, very consistent in terms of how the metrics flow from activity to activity, from skill area to skill area, so that across your student base, your pupil base, you're able to sort of see things in the same light, albeit in a completely bespoke and unique way for every one of them. What we want to be able to do is to, as I said earlier, is to make you more efficient, more effective, to save you time, to foster connection, to be able to communicate and to see everything in one single portal, and to leverage existing technologies that you already have access to or may choose or be thinking of making an investment in order to improve your facility and your business. And so I think that I hope that that will have prompted some questions. Certainly after this, we'll make sure that we get everyone's contact details who has been part of the webinar, set you up with demo accounts. That will obviously also introduce you to the Clipped community, which is a very, very important parallel domain that we've created, where there are a whole range of FAQs, but also content pieces, coaches only environments and forums, where really the idea is to foster knowledge share. And we're seeing an incredible sort of engagement from coaches around the world who are keen to be innovators, to share ideas, and to really bring about a whole new way of communicating as it relates to performance. And so everyone will be, as I say, be set up with those following this webinar. And just like to thank you all again, and obviously to Scott's earlier point, open the floor for any questions if there are any. We are ultimately here for you. We're not a kind of a golf business as such. We're very much a pure play technology company. Happen to have a great deal of domain expertise, but also bring a divergent expertise from lots of different areas that we're bringing to bear into this space. And certainly trying to deploy that in the setting of your business and in the business of performance and engagement and in interaction. So I hope that's been interesting. And Charlie, thank you very much. And to everyone else, thank you. And please do put your hands in the air to say we're here for you.
Well, I've got a question for Stephen Kepler. Stephen, do you suppose if you and your fellow Walker Cup team members had this kind of data back in the day, it might have made a difference?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Back in the day, obviously we didn't have all this kind of technology, but if I was driving it bad, I wouldn't necessarily need all this data to tell me that I'm driving it bad. I'm just old school.
It's interesting because we had a call with Mr. McCoy yesterday, obviously looking ahead to 2023, where of all the venues that GB and I actually might stand a fighting chance, it's the old course, given how much they play it, and Spike's quite keen to get ahead of the curve. And the reality is, and I can say this with a huge amount of confidence, having sat in, top tier Div 1 programs and Walker Cup team rooms, national squads, and even with many of the world's, leading tour players, both men and women, is that people may think they're driving it bad. They may think they're putting it bad. They may think they're hitting their short irons bad. The number of people that I've asked who've actually got the question right, what do you think the best parts of your game are? What do you think's holding you back? It's closer to 0 than it is to 5. And it's closer to 0 than it is to 3, even in terms of the number of people that have got that answer correct when you look at things in the whole. So I'd love to believe you that if you're driving it bad, you're driving it bad. But now we've got actually the capacity to unlock all of this hidden understanding in a simple way. Hopefully it's exciting to see that there's a whole host of opportunity out there to take out the stories that we tell ourselves as golfers and as instructors as to actually this crazy game, which is infinitely complex. And I would have bet you £1 million that the single most important part of my game was my approach play. And I think currently, in terms of my what to work on, it's about 4% in terms of actually the causal driver of me being actually at my best versus not. That's a big way off.
Do we have any other questions?
I mean, I guess I've got a question as to whether we have managed to make sense of what we're trying to build, or whether that has just confused people. Because obviously our aim is to be here to provide a new slant based on obviously some very, very high level data science, but do so in a way whereby the design comes through so that it could be, intuitive. Hopefully, once you've had a play with demo accounts that we set you up with, you'll have a much better feel of things, because it's always very difficult to do so kind of in a remote kind of sterile setting like a webinar. But I do sincerely hope that the idea of being able to qualify the value of or quality of a shot and performance in context as to the way we pressure the ball, the way we move through time and space, the decisions we make, the training and the practice we make in one single place through one single integer kind of makes sense. I've tested it with my 7-year-old, and she knows that 100 is better than 90. So I'm hoping that this audience can see there's some value in sort of trying to simplify something that's very, very complicated. I'll take that as a yes. All right.
Any other questions from the audience? John, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all of you for participating. Again, it's great to see some old friends. It's particularly fun for me. Chrissy Felton, if you're still on, please, next time you talk to Hope, please tell her John Boykin said hello. That's a long history. We went to high school together, Hope and I. So the world is a small place, and it's always, again, exciting to see a lot of people in the Georgia section participate in this, and there will be more opportunities, and certainly all of you know how to reach me through the section. If I can answer any questions for you. I've had the privilege of being in London not once but twice to visit Clip's offices and to sit with the data scientists and the programmers and the designers and the team of more than 40 full-time people that this company has engaged in the development and implementation of this platform. It's exciting times for all of us. As Piers said, it's a way to see a totally objective presentation of how good a golfer is or can be. Let me share this with you. In addition to Piers, I think, shared about our relationship with Sea Island, the IMG Academy down in Bradenton, Sarasota area. All of their kids are testing Clip at the moment and using it to create profile. And the Georgia Tech men's team, which is on their way to the NCAAs later this week, they have been using Clip now for a while. So we've got it in the right hands. We've got it in the right hands in Georgia. We hope to get it into all of your hands here very quickly. But I want to again take the opportunity to thank you so much for taking your time today. I know it's busy days right now as the season's gotten well underway. So thank you again for your time, Scott. We'll let you close it off with that.
Yeah, thanks, John. Pierce and Charlie, thank you guys for the presentation. Thank everybody for joining. As we said, this is just kind of a start of the partnership with Clip. So we look forward to more throughout this year and years to come. and getting to learn more about it. So thanks everybody for joining. Have a great week. As John alluded to, great season. Let us know at the section office if we can help you with anything.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all in person, hopefully in the due course. Have a good day.